What's up? In this video, I'm going to be giving you 10 plus battery and charging tips for your Apple iPhone Air. Let's go. Welcome back to the video. My name's Sergio, and in this channel, I make life-saving tech videos. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell while you're down there. All right, we're going to jump right into it. So I'm going to be giving you 10 plus battery and charging tips so that you can get the most out of the battery life on your iPhone. Now, you may not want to use all of these tips because it will drastically decrease the usage and function of your phone. But you can pick and choose, certain tips that you may want to implement in your daily life so that you can increase the overall long-term battery life of your iPhone. All right, so let's jump right into tip number 1. So tip number 1 is to enable dark mode. Okay, so dark mode uses darker colors in your screen. When you go to settings, everything will be dark here. And by enabling darker colors, the battery is used less because the brighter the colors that the screen has to show, the more the battery is drained. Okay, so you do this by going into settings. Here in settings, you go down to display and brightness. And here you will see light mode and dark mode. Okay, just go ahead and select dark mode and you will be set. And your phone will change over to dark mode and increase the long-term life of your battery. So tip number 2 is to keep brightness lower when not needed and also to enable True Tone and Night Shift. Okay, so you can customize your brightness by swiping on the top right of the screen downwards. And here you will see your brightness, okay? I usually try and keep it in the middle, and at nighttime, I drop it all the way down, okay? It also, if you tap and hold on the brightness, here you will have True Tone and Night Shift and dark mode as well. Okay, so here you will enable True Tone, and you can enable Night Shift so that you can schedule it so that at certain times at night and in the morning, it will use warmer colors, which drain the battery less as well. Okay, so here you can go to more warm. Okay, we're going to enable scheduled, and here you can select the time. So let's say I want to set this to 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Okay, so we'll just head back, and there you go. Night shift will be set. You can also do this in the settings in display and brightness. Okay, you will see True Tone here. Just make sure it's enabled, and night shift. So moving on to tip number 3. And tip number 3 is to turn off always on display. So always on display is this, that even when you lock your screen, it's always going to show the time and the date, and it's going to show the screensaver here when you lift up your phone. So you may want to remove this because every single day, every couple of minutes, if the always on display is always on, it's also going to continue to drain your battery more than normal. So you do this also by going into settings. Here in settings, once again, go to display and brightness. And if you scroll here towards the bottom, you will see always on display. Just go ahead and select it and toggle always on display off. There you go. And another thing that you may want to do is auto lock. Go ahead and select it and make sure that it is at 30 seconds. Okay, because if you have it longer at 1 minute or 5 minutes, it's always going to take that amount of time after you put your phone down for your screen to go black and start saving battery. So make sure auto lock is also at 30 seconds. So moving on to tip number 4, and tip number 4 is to enable low power mode. Okay, so you can do this by going into settings, going into battery, and here in battery you will see power mode. And here the lower option is going to be low power mode. You can go ahead and enable it, and this will drastically increase the battery life of your iPhone because it will stop mail fetch, background app refresh, automatic downloads, and some visual effects will be reduced or disabled in low power mode. Go ahead and hit continue. Okay, when you're in low power mode, your battery status up here will be in yellow. And low power mode is a very good feature to enable to increase the long-term battery life of your iPhone. So moving on to tip number 5, and tip number 5 is to enable charging optimization. So you do this by going into settings. Once again, go to battery. Here in battery, we're going to go to charging. And here we want to make sure that optimized battery charging is enabled. So what this does is when the charge limit is set to 100%, allow iPhone to wait to finish charging past 80% until the time you need to use it. Okay, so if you want to take it one step further, what you want to do here when optimized battery charging is enabled is you want to drop this down to 80%. okay? Because studies have shown that if you limit your battery charge to 80%, this will increase the long-term battery life of your iPhone as well. So I know this could be counterproductive because you want your phone at 100%, but for your battery, studies show that charging it to maximum 80% is the best outcome. And another tip in battery charging is that it's not good to allow your battery to drain below 20%. So once you see your battery is getting close to 20%, it is suggested to go ahead and connect it and start charging your iPhone again. So moving on to tip number 6. And tip number 6 is to turn off 5G data when not needed, because 5G data drains your battery faster than regular 4G or LTE. So you can do this by going into settings. Here, go over to cellular. Here in cellular, we're going to have cellular data enabled here. But what you're going to want to select is cellular data options. Go ahead and select it. And here we're going to have voice and data. It's going to say 5G auto. We're going to go ahead and select voice data and select LTE. Okay, let's go back. Then we're going to go over to data mode. And here we're going to select standard. Now this is going to limit your internet data speed back to LTE. So you're not going to be using 5G, which is faster, but this is another tip that will increase the long-term battery life of your iPhone as well. So moving on to tip number 7. And tip number 7 is to limit the refresh rate of the screen. So the new iPhones come standard with 120 Hertz refresh rate. So it's super fast and responsive to the touch. However, this does drain the battery faster than if you were to use 60 Hertz. So if you want to limit the refresh rate to 60 Hertz, you do this by going into settings. Here in settings, you scroll down to accessibility. Here in accessibility, we're going to go over to motion. Here in motion, we're going to scroll down and it's going to be this option down here. It says limit frame rate. So if you enable it, you will limit the frame rate to 60 Hertz and increasing the short-term and long-term battery life of your iPhone. So moving on to tip number 8, and tip number 8 is a usage tip that it's not good to use your phone in extreme temperatures. If you go in the sauna or if you leave your phone in your car and the temperature is super hot, this is not good. This damages your battery over time. Okay, so it's good to keep your iPhone between temperatures of 32 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 0 to 35 in Celsius. So it's neither good to use your iPhone in extreme cold or extreme hot temperatures. This does damage the battery life of your iPhone and shortens the lifespan of it. So moving on to tip number 9. And tip number 9 is a storage tip. If you're ever not going to use your phone for an extended period of time, for maybe a couple days, weeks, or even months, it's good to turn off your phone at about 50 to 70% battery life, power it off, and then you could store it away for however long you need to. It's not good to let your battery just drain to 0, your phone turn off, and then store it for weeks and months like that. That does also damage your battery, and the charging capacity won't be as good when you go ahead to start using your phone again and charge it up. So that does damage your battery as well. So moving on, tip number 10. So tip number 10 is to increase the short-term and long-term battery life of your iPhone is to turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi when not in use. Okay, so if you're not using Bluetooth, just go ahead and swipe down here from the top right and go ahead and just turn it off. Okay, if you're not going to be using it, because it's going to be constantly searching for nearby Bluetooth signals if you always have it on. Also, if you don't need to use Wi-Fi, maybe you're out and about and you're using your cellular data, go ahead and turn Wi-Fi off. This will also increase the short-term and long-term battery life of your iPhone because it's not going to be constantly searching for Wi-Fi data signals. So moving on to our final tip, tip number 11, which is the bonus tip. And tip number 11 is to keep notifications off and silenced, or at least limiting notifications to when your screen is unlocked. Because if you have a bunch of notifications all turned on at all times, this is going to be constantly draining the battery of your iPhone because it's going to be constantly being bombarded with notifications all the time. So this does drain your battery life faster. So you do this by going into settings. Here in settings, scroll down to notifications. Okay, and what you could do is just turn notifications off by going to show previews and just putting never. Okay, and scheduled summary off, never, notification, screen sharing notifications off. However, if you do need notifications, then I would go to show previews here and select when unlocked, okay? So that it only shows notifications when your phone is unlocked. When you're actually using it, that's when they'll pop up here. Or the other thing you could do is you could just turn off all notifications and only turn them on one by one on certain apps that you need notifications for, and turn the rest of them all off if it's a must to have certain notifications. All right, everyone, so there you go. Those are 10 plus battery and charging tips to increase the battery life of your Apple iPhone Air. Go ahead and destroy that like button if you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments down below which of these tips you will be implementing. All right, everyone, so that's all for this video. I'll catch you in the next one. As always, peace.